Okay, so we're going to download the Linux Mint ISO, which is basically back in the day a CD, DVD image that you would have to burn. Well, we don't do that anymore. We just put the ISO on a USB stick and then reboot. Go to the boot menu, select that image, and then it boots up and we install. Right. So let's do that. We'll go Linux Mint ISO. And the latest and greatest is 21.2. So Linux Mint has several different flavors. Cinnamon Edition, which is the default. The Mate, XFCE, which is super lightweight. And then this new one is the Edge Edition. So anyone that's running a computer that was built within the past 2 to 3 years, I would say probably download the Edge Edition. That way when after you've created your USB stick, it'll boot and it'll work. So we'll go ahead and do that one. All right, scroll down on this page. All this is different mirrors, different places that you can download from. If you find one is not quick, then you can just cancel your download and try a different mirror. We'll try Sonic. Since Sonic is supposed to be fast, we'll try that one. Yeah, and it seems to be pretty quick. All right, so I'm going to let this download and then I'll be back in just a moment. All right, and now that we've got our Linux Mint ISO, the next thing we need is software that we can use to put the ISO onto our USB stick. And for that, we're going to use Etcher. So I just type, it would help if I typed right, Etcher. And it should be the first link. Download. And we'll go with 64 app image, download. If you're coming from a different OS, it also supports Windows and Mac. So if you're coming from one of those, you would just select that download link instead of the Linux link. All right, but I've got that now, so we can close Firefox. You can go into our downloads. For Linux, we'll have to give this app image permission to run. So we just right-click Properties, and then Allow Execution, and then you can close. So now when we click into that, it opens up. So from here, we're just going to click Flash from File, select our Linux Mint ISO that we just downloaded, hit Open. Under Target, this is where we will select our USB stick. Let me plug that in real quick. Okay. And it detects it, so select Target. And now we've got that. I've already got it written, but go ahead and do it again just so we can walk through it together. So we've got our ISO, we've got our USB stick selected. We'll hit Flash. It's going to want our password to authenticate against. Just be your user password that you log into the machine with. In Windows, it may prompt a UAC prompt, yes or no. You just hit yes on that option. And on Mac, I'm not sure what Mac would ask, but probably a password. You would just type the password in. But I'll let this run, and I'll be back momentarily. All right, now that the ISO has finished, we'll close out of this and shut down our computer. Make sure the USB drive, the stick that we just created, is in the computer. And then you'll strike F11 is what I use on my machine, but you may hit delete or F2 or F1. Check your motherboard book and it should tell you what the boot menu is. There's also a splash screen when your computer first comes on, and it may say it towards the bottom of the screen on that. Okay, what I've done is I've booted up my computer, and my boot menu button is F11. For you, it may be different. But what you want to do is you want to select that USB drive. So I'm going to highlight it and press enter. And here we're going to select 21.2 and let that boot up. All right, and what we'll do is we'll install Linux Mint. And I'll run neofetch just to see what it says here while we're waiting. It's kernel 6.2 on this Linux Mint Edge ISO, so that's good. Okay, and we'll just run through the install. Select English as our language. Keyboard layout, English, English. Continue. We won't connect to a Wi-Fi just yet. Install multimedia codecs. You can do this if you need them. I won't be selecting those. And then erase the disk, install Linux Mint, yes. And ext4 is what we want. Continue. You can select your region. Continue. A super secret password. Continue. And then I'll let that go and be back in just a minute. All right, now that that's done, we're just going to click on Restart Now. And that should bring us to a screen that tells us to eject our USB stick. Yep, please remove the install medium and press enter. So I'll do that now. Okay, the USB stick has been removed. Press enter. And we'll let it boot into Linux Mint. Right, we are in. Let's put in our password. Welcome to Linux Mint. This is kind of the get started app that pulls up when you first launch into Linux Mint. So what I first like to do is get in here, change it to dark, and then reset that to green because that's Linux Mint to me, not the blue. Here you can set up snapshots. If you've got an NVIDIA video card, you can go into this driver manager. Here's where you can do the multimedia codecs, which I didn't do. Software manager. First, before we do any of this, we need to connect to Wi-Fi so it can go and get the updates for us. All right, we've been connected. That's good. System reports need your attention. Install language packs. I don't need that, so we'll ignore that report. And here's the codecs again. I don't need those, so we'll ignore that one. And I'm just using this for a gaming PC, so I don't really need the system restore either, so I'm going to ignore that. So no more problems. That's great. And then the next thing I would do is I'd go into Update Manager and just perform a system update. Do you want to switch to a local mirror? I'll say no to that. And then refresh. Since we're using The Edge edition, we may not have any updates. We'll check and see. Oh, we actually do. Quite a bit here. All right, so we'll install all of these. And we'll let that finish. Not sure if we should be concerned about that error message or not. I'll close that and see. Reboot required. Let's restart and see if that goes away. Okay, we've made it back to the login screen. Let's go ahead and sign in. Since I won't be using any of this, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck, show this at startup. So I don't need to see that every time. We'll do a neo fetch. Cinnamon 584. Using just under a gig. Okay, and our shield looks like we're good, so no more updates. Okay, now that we've got Linux Mint installed, if we want to change out something like the web browser, if we don't want Firefox, we could just click on the Start button and go up to Software Manager. And once this loads, we can search for Brave. That's a different browser. Let's see, if you want Chrome, you could get Google Chrome. So just for this example, we'll stick with Brave. So you just click Brave, click on the Install button. These are the dependencies that are required to make the Brave browser run. So we will just hit continue there. It's just kind of letting us know that that's what's going to be installed as well as the Brave browser. Okay, and then once that completes, we can just click Launch. And here we are. We've got Brave. We can set that as our default in dark mode. I always uncheck these two. I don't want any data being collected on us. And boom, now we've got Brave. So if we wanted to, we could just right click this and pin to panel. And then where we've got Firefox, we could unpin it and then just drag that where Firefox was. And we can just use this going forward. Okay, and like I was saying before, we're just using this machine as a gaming PC, so we don't really need all this LibreOffice software, Base, Calc, Draw, Impress, Math, Writer. So what we'll do is we'll open up the terminal, which is that icon that's pinned on the taskbar by default, and just paste in this command, and I'll put this in the description. Paste that command in, press enter, password in. And what that's going to do is it's going to go and basically remove all the LibreOffice packages from your machine. And you see here it's going to free up nearly 700 megabytes. And that's just bloat that we're not going to use. So we'll press yes, press enter. And when that's complete, we'll go in and make sure that it's gone. Okay, so it says removed. So we go back into the Office folder, and now, as you can see, all the LibreOffice software has been removed. And if you click through here, you'll see different packages of software. This Thunderbird Mail I'm never going to use, so I'll show you how to remove it real quick. Just open up Software Manager. And we'll do Thunderbird. You see how it's got the green check? That means it's installed. So we'll click in here and just click remove. Continue. Type our password, authenticate. And now that should be removed as well. See how it's not showing any longer under internet. All right. Okay. So now we're at the point where we're ready to download Steam, get it on here and get some games installed and start playing some games, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to open up Software Manager again. And just type Steam. The very first one, it's a system package, click install. These are the dependencies that it's going to install as well as Steam. Hit continue. Type our password in again. And we'll let this download. Okay, the download completed. We'll go ahead and launch Steam and just let that download and update in the background. And then while it's doing that, what we want to do is we want to type in Proton QT. And what this is a piece of software that will go and download the latest and greatest glorious egg roll version of Proton. So we'll click install, continue. And it's just a version of Proton that gets updated by a member of the community named Glorious Egg Roll. It's just a better version of Proton, basically. So we'll let that download. And what we want to do is we want to open Steam up at least once. That way when we go to open Proton, this Proton up Qt, it'll have the Steam directory. So that's important. So we're basically doing two things at once here. We're letting Steam update while we download Proton up Qt, but we're not going to do anything with this just yet. We want Steam to run at least once. So let that bake in. And then notice Proton up Qt is finished, but I'm not going to hit launch just yet. I'm going to let that just kind of bake in on the side while Steam's updating. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and log into Steam. And I'll use the QR code because I've got the Steam app on my phone. I would definitely recommend using that if you don't already have it. It makes logging in to Steam very quick and easy. If you distro hop a lot, instead of having to type your password and all that stuff, fun stuff, you can just scan a QR code. Okay, now we're logged into Steam. What we're going to do, basically because we wanted to basically break the seal of Steam, so that's our running it once. We'll exit. And then now we want to open this Proton up Qt. The reason for that is so it can see the Steam directory. That's the reason we ran this team once. So now we'll hit add version. And I'll always just grab the latest and greatest. So 8.21 as of this recording. Um, it's Saturday, October 28th, 2023. So we'll click install. And it's going out to GitHub, grabbing the software and downloading it for us, and then putting it in the right compatibility tool folder for us. Go ahead and close Software Manager. Okay, so now we've got 8.21. It says it's unused, so we can go ahead and hit close here. That's okay. When we go into Steam, we'll select it. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're in Steam again. I'm going to go to Steam, top left, go down to Settings, and under the Compatibility, enable Steam Play for all other titles. We're going to select that, restart later, and make sure that that GE Proton 821 that we just downloaded is selected there. Hit the X, and then we'll exit Steam again. And then go back into it one more time. And if we come back into settings, compatibility, now we'll see 821. So now our Steam is using Proton version from Glorious Egg Roll version 821. So now we're ready to just download some games and start gaming. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I appreciate everyone sticking around to the end. If I left out anything, or if you got questions about anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. Do one more NeoFetch here. Show our system settings. There's also HTOP. You press enter there and you don't have it installed, we can just highlight this. It's basically telling us what to run to get it. So sudo apt install HTOP. We'll press enter there, type our password in, let it download, and then now we should be able to use HTOP. And what HTOP does is it kind of shows you what resources are being used in real time. So as you can see, just sitting here idle, we're using about 1.5 gigs of memory, and then the different processes that are running, whatnot. But yeah, I appreciate everyone staying to the end, and please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.